What's going on YouTube? This is AK and you're watching Vlogmore. And today I wanted to make another video. It kind of is a part 2 to the why your budget AR-15 is sufficient for SHTF. But not so much a part 2. Really the reason why I wanted to make the video today is because when I published that video about why your budget AR-15 is sufficient, I did get a small number, very small number, but yet existent commenters who seemed like they were quite divorced from reality. And so I wanted to kind of expand more on the topic of SHTF. So what I wanted to do was really title this video, why you in particular will not survive SHTF. Now, let me just first say that none of us, myself included, is not guaranteed to survive an SHTF style scenario, but there are certain things that need to be talked about because a lot of people just have a lot of unrealistic expectations of what they will and will not do. So I wanted to put that video out there, and for those who really it never occurred to them what the dynamics could potentially be, I want to kind of just explain why really this is mostly geared towards those who are in fantasy land. Majority of my subscribers are very down to earth, common sense people. I make the videos for y'all. I love when y'all comment in the comment section because we think very similarly, very grounded and realistically about these type of situations. So with that said, this is not directed at my common sense viewers. It is directed at the viewers who are more delusional and who like to comment things that I don't think they thought about before commenting. So let's get into it. Why you will not survive SHTF. So first things first, in the last video about SHTF that I made, there were a couple people who were saying that National Guard did not take people's gun in Hurricane Katrina. And were there people in that scenario who the Guard did not take their guns? I'm not sitting here and saying that it was an impossibility, but what I am saying is that the Guard did take people's guns in certain neighborhoods, and that is just a fact. And the fact that people took it upon themselves to comment in the comment section, well, I was there and that didn't happen. Okay, well, there's plenty of documented footage on it. It just shows me that if you comment before knowing all of the information, that you're a person that is reactionary and you don't think. So you won't survive SHTF. Not to mention the people that didn't even know what they were talking about, that said, hey, well, the guy in the comment section said that civilians didn't have their guns taken, so they must be correct. Instead of just doing what I would have done, which is go to the search bar above my head and just type in Hurricane Katrina gun confiscations. You might have found some information that lent credence to my point before commenting. But all that to say that a lot of people react, they act before using their brain. And what that tells me is, in an emergency situation, you will fail because you don't think. So that's the very first reason why a good number of you will not survive SHTF. This is probably going to be the most contentious of all the points, but I just want to get it out of the way anyway. And that is, you can't even stand up to your wife. What makes you think you're going to stand up to a tyrannical government? The vast majority of you that like to talk tough on the internet tend to have very docile, meek lives, subservient, submissive lives to the woman in your household. And you yet want to flex your bravado on the internet. Even when I was in the military with guys who were the softest and the less capable of leading, tend to be the ones that were the loudest and the ones who were being completely ran over by their spouses, their fiancés, their girlfriends, whatever. If you allow estrogen to dictate who you are as a man, then you are not going to enforce your will on other masculine men who actually do enforce their will in their household with their women. They're probably going to come out on top over you in a ground situation where you can't rely on A-10s and Black Hawks and attack helicopters and all this type of stuff. When it comes to just man to man, small arms to small arms, you're most likely going to fail because you're not motivated by sheer masculine will to fight and potentially die for what you believe in and kill. So if you can't stand up to her, you can't stand up to tyranny. And that's just a fact of life. And that's something a lot of you don't think about. A lot of you are living in households where, you have to ask for permission to do everything. And yet, and I know a lot of you think it's cute. A lot of you think it's funny. And a lot of you think that it's acceptable to live that type of life as a man and still consider yourself somewhat of a warrior. That's not the way your ancestors did it. That's not the way our ancestors did it in any culture around the world. And you're failing. So when you think you're going to somehow tell some other dude what to do, or you're going to dictate his survival when he is clearly pressing a line that you weren't willing to press, you're out of your mind. So yeah, that one I'm sure will ruffle some feathers, but yet it is still true. So I don't think you'll survive SHTF because you follow her lead, and there's a good chance she doesn't even know what to do when the power goes out. So when things get bad enough, there's a very high probability that you will fail because you've spent your entire adult life following your woman. So that's number 2. Number 3 reason why is obesity. The fitness levels in the United States are, I would say, quite abysmal actually. Now, the latest statistics from the CDC say that I think it's 41.9% of American adults are obese. Okay? Those are hideous numbers. And 9.2% of American adults are severely obese. So when I looked at it, basically the numbers were 100 million US adults are obese and 22 million are severely obese. Now remember, we have a population of 340 million people? And you're telling me that 122 million of those individuals are obese? What does that tell you? I mean, if SHTF were to transpire, you're in no condition to fight a prolonged war where you need to be in really, really good shape, where your diet prior to SHTF should have been clean, or at least, modest, or not modest, but what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, modest. I would say modest. Yeah, I would say modest. And so, when you're looking at the fitness levels in this country, they're horrible. So if something cracks off, power goes out, water gets shut off, the gas supply goes out, whatever, so that, deliveries can't be made to grocery stores. and you are legitimately having to fend for oneself, you're not in shape. And if you had to commit acts of violence against other individuals who are also armed, how are you going to take cover when you're obese? You can barely run. When's the last time you've done PT? How many of you watching this video have done a standard military PT test? Now, I know that there's different branches. Let's just go with Air Force because that was the branch that I was in. When I was active duty, now, of course, it's, you know, a lot of the PT tests have changed over the years since I was in, but let's just go with, because I can tell you that they do it based off of your age and your the measurements of your waist, right? And then they go off of how many push-ups you have to get to pass, how many sit-ups, and then but your mile and a half. Let's just go with this. Your mile and a half in the Air Force when I was in, it had to be 13 minutes and 35 seconds is what I want to say it was. And then, you know, with my waist measurements, I want to say that I had to get a minimum of like, what was it, like 68 push-ups and like 56 sit-ups or something like that. But when's the last time you looked up, you know, a standard military PT test and said, okay, I'm going to try and see if I can pass this thing? When's the last time any of you even ran a mile? In 30 minutes, like a non-timed mile. A lot of you have not. A lot of you are not doing anything that is going to maximize your physical fitness. So that when you are called to be this badass that you claim to be whenever you're in someone else's comment section, are you going to be able to perform? Do you do intermittent fasting? Do you know how your body reacts when you haven't eaten in a while? Probably not. You probably get really bad headaches and feel like you want to throw up when you don't eat. You're kidding yourself. If there's a shortage of food, shortage of water, a lot of you are going to just wither away. You're going to turn into dust like when Thanos snapped his fingers and took out half of the Avengers. You know, and so a lot of you are on blood pressure medication. You know, a lot of you have health conditions. Now, here's the deal. For those of you who are older, who have health conditions, but you still try to work out, good on you. I salute you. I commend you because you're at least trying. But for the rest of you who just do, all you work out is your mouth, you're a loser. And there's dudes out here who you'd least expect who are going to completely outdo you, as they should. And they're going to be stomping around in those cool tactical boots you have, and they're going to be over there pulling triggers with that nice fancy AR you got. So that's another reason. Another reason why you won't survive SHTF is because you underestimate your adversary. You underestimate your adversaries. A lot of you think, and to be fair, I think when SHTF happens, a lot of the poor are going to become completely vicious out of just necessity. But those who are of lesser means, a lot of you underestimate those people. And that's why you're not going to survive, because you're going to think that it's going to be like going to a shooting gallery and just indiscriminately picking off people that you feel like aren't as smart as you, and that's not going to happen. They're still people, and people are relatively smart. You know, your average Pookie and Ray Ray that live in the hood, believe it or not, there's a lot of them in those communities that are actually smarter than you. They don't know it yet because they haven't been put in a situation where they really got to put a plan together. But trust and believe, a lot of them will outsmart you when the rubber meets the road. They're having to pull off schemes day to day just to survive out there. You don't think that they don't have ingenuity? They do. Same thing with those up in Appalachia. All these places where people are really poor, when it comes to it and survival, they're better than you. A lot of them are better than you. And they'll put a scheme together to get you. I think with the internet space, especially with YouTube, with a lot of these fancy gun tubers who, you know, make money off of your likes and subscriptions and then turn around and tell you that the gun that you bought isn't good enough. These people have, I think, successfully gotten a lot of Americans to think that your survival is going to be based off of how expensive your weapon is, how Gucci'd out your kit is. And if anything, God forbid, ever happens in this country, you're going to get a very large swath of you killed. Because it puts you in a mindset of, well, I can afford the Noveski or the Daniel Defense, and all I got to do is just shoot my problems away. Meanwhile, him with lesser means, they're going to be forced to use their brain power, and they're going to end up with all your shit. So be aware of that. So I really want to end the video off there, because it's just a basic, you know, description and explanation of why you will not survive SHTF. These are for the people who really, they need to be brought to reality. So I really hope that the rest of you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you want any more content about SHTF and other perspectives that I have, I'd be more than happy to share them with you. Until then, I will see y'all later. Take care. God bless. Peace.